Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 456, and today we're doing battle with Nocturne Kalista Fearsomes. And so, if you're not familiar with the Fearsomes deck, here's what you do. You put your Fearsomes on the board, you attack, your opponent eventually kills all your units, you play the Harrowing, you win the game, GG, move on to the next one. That's it, that's the way every single game plays. Let's jump into the games. but more seriously, the Fearsomes, it's something that I think are very interesting in this current Eternal format. As we were preparing for the Mastering Runeterra event and playing Formidables all the way across the board, it was very awkward and annoying to run into Draven Scion and it having the Fallen Riders, the 2-cost with Fearsome, and then the Twin Blade Discarder that made the 4-3 with Fearsome. While they're typically fairly manageable units, coming at with a deck like Formidables, to where the highest power in the deck is 2, you typically ran into some issues with these. And so that gets me kind of like interested in this style of deck with so many of the formidable decks running around, and then the kind of defensive measures coming out of the Cosmic Call decks, typically being just like the blocks with the 1/4 thing that heals every turn, and then decks like Action Samira not being really happy if you throw a really wide aggressive board at them. And so I think that this deck has some real potential to kind of pop off given the kind of makeup of the format right now. And so, to speak to our list here in particular, I always say with these Allegiance decks, you typically have a little bit of flex value moving to the other factions. I don't really like playing Allegiance decks without other cards in it. I feel like you can safely fit in a couple of choices. And we used to just play Pirouette in the past, but with the nerf to Pirouette, I'm not super interested in it. And so we've moved on to copies of Precious Pet. The thing that we have added to the deck, though, is Tufted Web Spinner is a new addition. This guy coming out of Heart of the Huntress. In this deck, he is a 3/1 fearsome with the Spider keyword. We do have some bonuses for him with the likes of Frenzied Skitterer, but the majority of the time we're not going to be activating this ability. It's not to say that we can't activate it. We do actually have 3 birds in our deck because of the Stygian Onlooker, but for the most part, this unit is just going to be a fearsome. Now, you may also be taking a look at this deck list and seeing that we have like 12 or 13 spiders in here. Why are you playing Kalista over Elise? And Elise just isn't quite strong enough. We're not really a dedicated spiders deck. We're not generating a bunch of spiders and then, say, playing Brood Awakening to hook in our opposing units. We're really kind of stuck with using something like Kalista because Elise doesn't do enough work. And so, yes, I've noticed that kind of thing exists. We do have a lot of spiders and we're not playing Elise. That is a valid decision that we've gone in and made. Otherwise, the next thing to call out is we are playing Dawning Shadows. This one was recently buffed in that variety patch, reducing its cost down to 6 mana, and this is another very fantastically powerful one in this format. The Neg 2 ability to all the opposing units often ensures that we kill off their one big play, we shrink a couple of 3/3s, and then the remainder of our units can attack through unblocked. And so Dawning Shadows is another powerful thing that we can do with this. Last but not least, we do have a single copy of Soul Cleave in here. We used to play the full 3 copies. I feel like that's a little bit dangerous in the current meta, but it does have some nice combos within the deck. You can play it, and then that one Soul Cleave will automatically activate your Kalista. You kill 1 unit, summon 2 ephemerals, they'll die, Kalista will flip. It has combos with the Frenzied Skitterer, giving your opponent's units negative attack and often boosting more of your spiders. And then the classic usage of it is on the Wraith Caller, summoning the 2 Wraith Callers for the turn, but then giving you the 2 permanent Mist Wraiths off of the Soul Cleave. And so very powerful angles there. And so that's the deck. That's what we're doing battle with today. But before the battles begin, you know what we got to do. We got to go and turn something premium. And where's our boy Mist Wraith at? I missed this guy so much from the days of Expedition. You could assemble these decks that had like 6 Mist Wraiths in it and 5 Risen Mists. And they were just completely obnoxious. And so they always have a place in my heart from those glory days of the Expeditions. But all right, off to the battles. Let's see what we can do. Up against Samira Poppy. They've done away with with Ziggs included Samira here. And so the way I typically start these games out, I'll just take the full mulligan. We're not a super early game aggressively styled deck. I know that we are an aggro deck, but the big draw for us is actually the Wraith Caller. And so if it comes down to having like a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and no Wraith Caller, or some kind of awkward draw to where we just have some rando 2 and a Wraith Caller, I want that Wraith Caller draw. It's just ultimately the most important card that we're going to be finding in our deck today. And so with this, I'm kind of curious, like, the web spinner is dangerous in this match, right? I don't know what the opponent's removal suite looks like. I'm going to assume that this deck isn't playing the 1 damage Pytos thing, and probably is playing Pokestick. And so, since the opponent only had 1 mana here, I felt kind of decent putting down the 1 health unit, and then hopefully having our 2 health Arachnoid Horror for a little bit later in this game. Alright, Arachnoid Horror on board. We'll get the Precious Pet down as well. Then ideally, we can start to turn things around with this Wraith Caller next turn. You got the Poppy? He does. He do. He did. But we can block everybody on board here. We can get kills on pretty much everything without using Mark of the Isles, but oh, that was aggressive. We can't just get it all right. You know, we don't need to play our spell. Right, not bad. So he's only got 1 card in hand. Our health total is pretty high. His stylish shots didn't land, so feeling kind of good with how that turn went. And I think what we'll end up building up to here is just trying to play the Harrowing on turn 7. So I'm fine to come in and trade some more units away. We're not going to be able to get our Nocturne flipped in this game. And so he's not going to come down for the big Harrowing play. If you're not familiar, if your Nocturne is flipped and he comes onto board with the Harrowing, depending on where he's going to land, he can often just shrink the opposing deck, the opposing board 4 and 5 times. And so he plays out fantastically with the Harrowing, but not so much right here. Dude dropping in the Pokesticks. I'm not going to play the Nocturne until he gives us a reason to. Well, maybe we should just drop him. I'm trying to envision like getting as big of a Harrowing as we can, but I don't think it's gonna be that relevant. Opponent says that's too much, Bust. You Wraith called me too good. GG. All right, Wraith called him too good. What you got more? It's the loading of the games has been kind of awkward and weird today, and so I've had multiple games on the day refuse to load. Yeah, I see the Dawning Shadows, and I'm just like, I just want to cast it. Like, let me. I'm telling you, I'm being serious. I got the Dawning Shadows in here. This is what was a bummer to me as I was looking to get started with the Tufted Web Spinner. The Mist Wraith doesn't have a keyword. It feels like a card that should have a keyword, right? I don't think I'm crazy in saying that. All right, this is what I'm talking about here initially against the opposing deck. They've got units like the Cosmic Youngling that just can't block what we're out here doing. And so with this turn, I want to get as many fearsome attacks in as we can. There's a decent chance he's going to come in and just Mystic Shot something, but I would like to get this Nocturne leveled up if we can. Takes him a while to get up and running, but I feel like with 1 Nocturne activation, we should probably be able to end the game. And then the way that this will sequence is we can play the Wraith Caller this turn, and then next turn we can open attack with Arisen Mists. And so the kind of fastest way we have to get the completely full board. Not worth dropping that early Wraith Collar on the previous turn just to get that like fast bursty attack in. The opponent's just like never blocking on that turn anyways. This is their only blocker in the Mountain Scryer. And the Charger. You gotta remember that. I'm okay with the Charger though. Like if you're gonna be Mountain Scrying into the Charger, you're not really stoked about that, right? You need your Mountain Scryer to be hitting real spells, and so I'm okay with that if we kill both the Scryer and the Charger this turn. Real close to that lethal. This is one of the things with our deck list is you'll occasionally see people play stuff like Atrocity. I don't like Atrocity in here, but you'll also occasionally see things like Nox and Fervor. Just giving you that little bit of extra time to throw a unit over the top. And we're not playing any of that stuff because we got Dawning Shadows in here, but those aren't things that are too crazy to see. Right, another Wraith Collar. I dig it. So we should be able to just go ham next turn. I'm looking to just say add in Nocturne here, and then next turn we can try and pop off. The thing that would be unfortunate is if Nocturne gets hit with like a Fallen Comet or a Sunburst or something, but on this next turn we do at least have Frenzied Skitterer that does let us shrink these two smaller units out here in the 3/4s.
Another brilliant design. No materials, no improvements.
Alright, what do the shadows bring? Frenzied Skitterers look pretty good to me. Just shrink them up as much as we can.
He sees the dogs in the hereafter.
Sure. So to me, the only thing that's kind of a bummer on this upcoming turn is our mana's like a little bit awkward. We're going to have 7, so we can Wraith Collar and Skitterer. But I kind of wish we could just get additional units down. But here's Wraith Collar. Good for the double shrink. And we can still Skitterer after the fact. Get another double shrink in. Say, whoops, you can't block, bro. Whoops, you can't block, bro. I don't think there's too much we have to worry about out of this one. A Crescent Strike doesn't seem like it's gonna be enough. Okay.
The charger is unyielding.
Slightly awkward, I guess, with our Nocturne's Fearsome falling off of the Wraith Collars. He does have blockers for both of our Mist Wraiths now. Kind of a bummer. Kind of a bummer. These Chargers been showing up like crazy today. I was just sending in the squad though. Turns out these blocks are kind of bad when your units don't have any attack power, and so let's see what we can slam in.
Open your eyes.
So we're not out of the woods, right? The thing that would be a problem next turn is if he has like a Cosmic Call and then he manages to spike an expensive thing of the Living Legends. Right, if he's taking a 3 bank into next turn, I think he can pull all of that off. What would he need? 8 + 4, 12 mana? Can't do it now. Well, he does have Viktor on board. Maybe he can do something nasty. We just gotta pick up that dawning shadow to give him the business. Am I right? The thing that was not on opponent's bingo card for the day. Dawning shadow coming in. It's gonna be like a fucking lifesteal Viktor. It's the way it always goes. Brash. Alright, well, we can try and manage this next turn. Feels pretty decent. I'm still not super worried about,
A hero cloaked in stars.
not super worried about any of the Celestials. The Warrior we can deal with, that's fine. The Mark of the Isles ready to go here. Definitely don't need the Mark of the Isles for combat. Could we have just won the game last turn? Like, we just drew this thing, right? I was trying to think if we actually had the Mark of the Isles in hand and an opponent was just at 2. I know he didn't block some stuff, but I'm pretty certain we just drew it. Welcome to Battles with Bust, where we make terrible plays all the time. Alright, and with the Harrowing. It should hit a Nocturne. He should be our strongest at this point. And then start hitting Mist Wraiths after him. Opponent says, that's too much, Bust. You boomed me too hard. GG. Said, please drop a Dawning Shadow on my Viktor. Make me be the first one of the video. Oof. I wonder if Ruben Zoo was just sitting in the conference room waiting. He says, I'm gonna make this buff, guys. Somebody's gotta figure it out. Somebody's gotta find the dawning shadows within the fearsomes. We found it. It's a bit unfortunate we didn't find our Wraithcaller for this game. Don't have too much to go along with this otherwise. We'll see if opponent manages to luck into their concurrent timelines on turn 2. This can be a problem. Mystic Shot. I'll take it. There's the timelines. Did that come out of the right of his hand? That's weird. I'd be very surprised if the... I guess this would make sense if you just don't have a 3-drop. That you can just go ahead and Mystic Shot and then timelines and play a 2 on turn 3.
You're looking at Ionia's fishing ship 10 times running.
This round's on me.
You have earned your
We just have to block. I mean, we can technically get around that unit next turn. Like spending like Frenzied Skitterer to shrink it by 1. I don't know. It doesn't strike me as a game-winning kind of play. I mean, what's gonna happen here? He's like, "Ooh, here's Combat Cook." You know, like, herder, look what I've done. I played my timelines. I'm gonna play a Combat Cook. I've got a 7/7 now. It's incredibly tough for us to get around this nonsense.
Come on, I'll take you all on.
Can't wait for concurrent timelines to get removed from the game. Cannot wait.
Closes in.
I'm really surprised it made it this far. I thought that with the big balance patch coming in, Riot was gonna be like, you know what, we've had enough. You know, we've seen what it can do. You know, I understand. I get it. Let's see what Vi hooks. We can Mark of the Isles if he goes for the bigger unit. So we need to just kind of like come in here and dirtle around, and then hopefully we can eventually win with the Harrowing. In that kind of sense, this game's not going that bad. We just haven't found any way to really ramp up our mist rates, and so as we go to play that Harrowing, we'll bring 2 of them back, but then we have a bunch of shitty units, right? We don't want to be harrowing back Stygian onlookers. We just need a little bit more time for these units to die off. Which I guess is progressing reasonably.
I will not yield.
Interesting. Surprised he blocked the dog just to prevent damage, I guess.
I must rise.
Okay. There's our boy. Things are churning now. I'm ready. I'm ready. Cannot get this thing on the board fast enough. say what up? It's the Dawning Shadow.
A good fight's the spice of life. Garlic works in a pinch.
Is it a Bienemone? Oh my god, and we missed our fucking allegiance. Oh my god. Okay. That's savage. I think we're at least kind of okay. I think we can get around this. Like, this attack is good now. He's just gonna take it. He's never gonna. Oh god, he traded his unit away. Beautiful, beautiful. Just as long as we don't have to play a defensive harrowing, everything's gonna be fine.
Piltover Enforcer on the scene.
He doesn't have an overwhelm equipment, but he does have a fearsome. That's too much. We can't just take an 11 hit from Vi and get burned out by blowbacks. We did it. We cast Dawning Shadow. Learn from the master, fam jam. That's what it's all about.
Proud to be sailing, but this looks fun too.
I'd be curious if that harrowing would have been enough on the last turn, though. Like, it's only going to summon in 5 units. The kind of interesting thing with the harrowing there is it does get to, like, the harrowing brings back all your units as ephemeral, so they're all just going to die. But when you hit the Wraithcaller, it summons a legitimate, it summons a legitimate dude, and so from that point you get the chance to have like one real unit on board still. So with this, I do not want a precious pet stuck on the board this turn. So I'm just letting this happen. If he added another unit that we could block with the precious pet, then I would have played it. But I don't want this dum-dum sitting on the board taking up the space for our harrowing next turn. I'm not feeling spectacular about our chances to win this one. I don't know. It just, from the way that this game is sequenced, I feel like he has to just have a handful of burn. But maybe we're big enough to where it's not as problematic. So we can block all 3 of our mist wraiths. We're only coming in for 10. Ew.
Is a weapon.
But see, this mist wraith here to the left is a real one, right? Because we hit off of the Wraithcaller. It just, we're little, like our units were 1 too small. We really needed to be hitting like 4 mist wraiths and then having the Wraithcaller at the end. Just didn't quite get to do it. Oh my god, we're not even killing his units. Ugh. Oof, nasty. What a dumb deck. What a dumb deck. It's what worries me as we look to go and enter the open here in the next day or so. Like, I still feel like concurrent timelines is probably just the best deck in the game, and the problem with concurrent timelines right now is that the Jax Vi version of it is actually the worst version, and so it's really frightening to me when people see the high win rate on the Jax Vi version and don't realize that's the worst one. You just go and pick it up and say, "Ooh, boy, I see that this is rank 1 and I haven't played any games today, so let's just pick this one up." It's just faster, right? Since it does have the aggro and the burn elements to it, and but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's better or it's the best one. I think the Bandle City one is probably the best one in the meta right now. And I worry now that like Kuwako has started being like, "Ooh, I'm leveling, guys. look out, I'm leveling. I'm going for rank 1 with the Bandle City version." I'm just kind of like, fuck, you weren't you weren't supposed to let people know. It just starts to open up the world to where people start playing like triple timelines and stuff. And it's much more problematic. Interesting. Chip brings in the block. I was expecting a shaped stone to come in if we were going to see that, but it is what it is. So let's see how this goes. He's playing Zareath Zilean. We have to assume time bombs are going to come down at some point, so that adds some appeal to the opponent for leaving these units with 1 health. But I feel like we're in decent shape.
Friends do make chores easier.
Oh my God, that's the second time, and we're not even playing a bunch of like we have 2. That's so insane. We're playing 2 copies of Precious Pet, and we've hit it twice today. All right, making me sound like a dum-dum when I say that only 2 copies of a card isn't that much. Still pretty good combat though. We lose our Kalista. That's okay. We're not a big Kalista build around. It would be nice if she got to survive, but it's not critical by any stretch of the word. We still have a pretty good board here. It's gonna be like Malphite coming in. I gotta stop and take a peek if we're gonna get Malphited. That's a strong Zerath, right? He's got the flips, so it'll deal 3. Our weakest units right now, though, are just the Stygian onlookers. He's gonna blow up 2 units. Let's add the Precious Pet. It's just another bad one to have go. Oh, well, I guess we didn't have the mana to play Wraithcaller. It's like, I don't want to be losing Wraithcallers here. Oh my God, don't... Okay. That's fine. I was like, we're going to lose 3 units now, but I was worried that that was going to be the thing that puts the 2 landmarks on the board and draws a card. That would have been disaster mode. This is pretty close to disaster mode, but not as full on as those previous turns. Jesus. So I think we can attack with everybody. Like he has to block at least 1 fearsome. I think this is smart. But I'd like to get to keep our Wraithcaller at the end of the day. Alright, so now he's gonna kind of like fuck around, but he's not gonna deal enough damage to us, and then ideally we can win with the Harrowing. We do have to worry about him, playing Rite of Negation or something, but as it stands, I think this is okay. this bad. The level 2 bad version of Xerath doesn't. He doesn't send the damage to the face. You just draw like 500,000 cards, though. That's pretty scary. How bad is this going to be? We hit 2 Wraith Callers in the mix. Alright, we're gonna send the squad. This can definitely go wrong, but I think as long as we're in a space where we're not dying next turn, we might be okay. So it's stuff like Quicksand can roll through, give him blocks on the fearsomes. No guarantees this last guy makes his way in. But if we get to kill off the Xerath, kill off some of these big boys, it certainly helps. Opponent says that's too much. You fearsomed me too good, bust. GG. Kalista Bard. Is this guy doing the same thing? What are you doing with Kalista Bard? I think this is one of those. What are those? The things that double in size? Is that what this deck does? Can't remember. Kalista Bard was not on my bingo card for the day and stuff. I wonder if we should just be taking these precious pets out of the deck. They're pretty like low value. Whenever I talk about playing these allegiance decks and always including other faction stuff, it's like we spent a lot of time playing elites and just playing like Rite of Negation within elites, and that was a very powerful thing to do, given that, you know, if your opponent plays something like Buried in Ice, you just outright lose the game. And so having answers to Buried in Ice or the Harrowing or Feel the Rush was a pretty big deal. But it wasn't something that, you know, that's a very high impact card is where that was going. And Precious Pet, I think we can all agree, is a pretty low impact card. And so I'm not entirely certain how I feel about that. It just needs to be something better. But I feel like this one's probably done at this point, right? That's where you agree with me. Dudes out here trying to draw cards and stuff. Who has the time for that nonsense? Out here drawing cards. Get that. I saw the orange border on our web spinner as well, indicating he was ready. It says, "Send me in. Send me in, coach. I'm ready to shrink the opposing unit." Alright. I thought the lethal was in. I thought we were good. I thought it was done for. Opponent had a different set of beliefs there. How much of this do we want to lean into? I mean, I feel pretty good about just attacking next turn. Like, just opening. You know, we don't have to deal a ton. And then with the Nocturne on board, he'll give Fearsome to the smaller dudes. Right, our Bird and our Wraith Caller will have Fearsome as long as Nocturne's on the board, and open attacking, he shouldn't have a way to take that away. I want to play it so bad. I want to play you so bad, Dawning Shadows. I guess I guess we're not going to, but... And this was just a mistake. I just kind of assumed this game was done. We should have put the vulnerable thing over onto Ceaseless Sentry so we could hook him out of combat onto one of these small units. Like, if opponent has a Withering Whale, we are hurting. And so I don't think I've seen Withering Whale this season, but our tune would have been changing real quick had opponent been able to have it. And so that's one of those kind of classic spots to where it's easy for your opponent to have a single removal spell, right? So like something like a Vengeance to kill off Nocturne, and it's kind of easy for them to have, say, an AoE spell like Withering Whale, but it's very hard for them to be able to do both. And so if you find yourself able to just hook his only blocker out, and then he can't stop both your width and your tallness, then it leaves you in a pretty good spot. Alright, though. Our opener has a Wraith Caller, so we're not going to take too hard of a mulligan. I think the Web Spinner into Kalista into Wraith Caller is aggressive enough. I'm a little worried in our ability to outrace Samira Fizz. And so I haven't played this matchup. But it does strike me as a deck to where it's like we're just going to ignore each other and see who can deal the most damage the fastest. That it's faster than us. So doesn't have a Samira on turn 2 though. That's always a perk. As deciding what unit we wanted to lead in with, it's like if opponent has the hook into something like the Arachnoid Horror, we can protect it with Mark of the Isles. And it's like if he's got a Samira into a unit, I'd probably rather be losing the Web Spinner than the Arachnoid Horror. Just because the Arachnoid Horror can survive stuff like Parlay, and it can survive stuff like Make It Rains. But maybe we're just making more of the argument to put the Horror on the board since it doesn't die to that stuff. I do have to stop and think in these spots, like, would we really rather have Kalista than Elise? And even in this spot, I think I'm still pretty happy to have Kalista. It's like, we can get Elise on the board and he just blocks the Spiderling with his random 1-2 that can't block anyways, and it doesn't really do anything. And then our curve is still kind of fucked, and we can't add any more units to the board anyways. So, like in this spot, it is, a point to where you can say, yeah, but on your next attack, you could Spiderling into, say, like a Fizz and a Father Fury and get them taken off of the board. But that's just like, that's not what our deck's trying to do, right? I'm not out here trying to make trades. I'm out here just trying to slam our units into the face and ignore literally everything the opponent's trying to send at us. So I think I get more and more okay with the lack of Elises in our deck. So again, another spot I don't suspect we're going to be able to really use these Mark of the Isles, but we'll have 6 mana next turn. We can play the Mist Wraith, we can burst the Risen Mists and send everybody in. It should be pretty tough for him to deal with. Like, the Caretakers and everything really want to go. Ooh, that's a very good Jagged Butcher. Nocturne is an interesting one. We can, like, preemptively Mark of the Isles if we want to hook something, but I think we probably want to just try and get him flipped for the next turn. Make it so opponent just, like, has to win the game on their next attack. And then we'll be safer that way. Playing these games and I'm just like, Oh my gosh, it's my chance to interact, my chance to do something, you know? I can give something vulnerable and we can force it into combat. And then at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, that's not what we want to do. That's not the game plan today. we just wanna get all the guys in the middle. Get to attacking.
I excel at making heads turn and roll.
So I think if he makes a hook with Samira, do we want to get our Mark of the Isles involved? Oh snap. Oh snap, we're gonna get the Dawning Shadows, son. Ooh, I can't wait. It's not the most exciting matchup to drop the Dawning Shadows, but ooh, I'm excited. I mean, we probably just do it. Do we just do it defensively this turn? I have to imagine if we go into the next turn, we just win the game. Like, it's so tough for them to actually stop anything that we're doing. So it's like if he plays a unit and then we get to kill Samira and just shrink 3 other dudes with the neg2 attack. Like, what's the most damage he does this turn? Like 1? and then it just makes it so tough for him to actually do anything on the next turn.
Hope they're watching.
Alright, I'll allow that. Scary time, bro. I'm ready. It's locked up. No shadow without light, no death without life. Ooh. You deep, Senna. You deep. What does it say? Oh, it's beyond the Bandlewood. I saw the Bandle City thing down here. It's like, why does this have the Bandle City icon attached to it? I got it. I see what you're doing there, Riot. Alright, who had this on their bingo card? Bust is gonna cast Dawning Shadow onto a Longtooth. Who thought that that was gonna happen today? Here comes. Here comes. You gotta drop the seriously Samira and hit him with the Dawning Shadows. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he's got a response. Uh-oh. Nox and Fervor, that's some bullshit, dude. That's some bullshit right there. Nox and Fervor. Look at this, dude. I'm dropping the Dawning Shadows. Look at that. We got the big boy off of the board. His two dudes can't block anymore. Whew. Sometimes it feels good to be bust. Sometimes it feels good.
My kind of girl.
All right.
Gorgeous and
All right. Samira gets a
Don't hold
flip.
anything
We'll
back.
play this other spider to shrink the stats, and then we'll send in. It is still very relevant that he could play an all-out or something and then get to block with Samira. Alright. Who had it on the bingo cards? You had it on. You're the winner for the day. Alright. Alright. GG. What do you think are the chances that opponent just quit the game? They say, fuck it, I'm back to Hearthstone. I'm sorry, Riot. I'm sorry. Ruben Zoo, Dave Guskin, the 100 or so people that actually work there. I did not mean to shrink the player base by casting Dawning Shadows. Nice. Alright, not a bad curve. Better kick off with these mist wraiths since we have so many ways to get them into the boosted zone. I don't think we even want to play Kalista here. Just add in the other mist wraith, have everybody grow.
Once I stab papers, now faces. direction.
He's having fun today.
I'm ready. A ticket
Nice
to the
16-piece nugget coming at you on turn 4. Feels good, fam jam. Gotta like seeing that.
Safety disengaged.
Maybe we don't like it as much. I thought we were going to get to kill both,
The
but
dragon binds us.
it's okay. We're still looking strong. We can do the Wraith Collar on this turn 5, and then on turn 6 we can look to get the Skitterer going. I was going to say get the Skitterer and Kalista going, but we might be a little bit more inclined to just get more Mist Wraiths on the board.
I fight with my spirit.
Look at that. Look at all these little dragonlings coming down that just can't block. It feels good. It feels good. I'll let you know that. This might be the game where we hit him with the tufted web spinner. We'll have to see. We're gonna get the onlooker down. We might just end up switching to Kalista. It's gonna depend on what this board looks like. I mean, the downside here is that he's gonna be able to, like, regardless of what we do, he's gonna be able to, like, Wuju style a dragonling or something, right? If we take it down to 1, it can still just get the easy +1 bonus attack, but I think we still want a Skitterer here. It doesn't give us any bonus damage, though. I just don't feel like... I don't feel like Kalista is ever going to... Or we're ever going to get, like, kills in this combat. Right? So I'm going to attack like this. Typically, you want your Kalistas to the right. You know, if Kalista's going to die, or units are going to die, you want Kalista at the very end. But I feel like with this board, we're pushing hard to get the lethal to the left. And then if we don't have the lethal to the left, he's just going to block this stuff at the end anyways, because we're not able to get a kill. So I feel a little bit safer with her here kind of in the middle, even though she's not getting that maximum opportunity to flip. And you can, you know, you can push on your ability to get her to flip with this Mark of the Isles as well. We can force the unit to die even if it's not blocked, but I didn't think she was going to flip at any point in that combat.
Not all mean well. What is gained when you return
Still
my
got our
hands?
bird for the tufted web spinner though. Get hype for that. It's kind of fucked up. Kind of fucked up, dude. Why are you the way that you are?
A quiet spirit.
Need another dude. The harrowing. That's tough. Like, we don't have enough to go off with it. I think our kind of hope and dream here is to be able to just double Mark of the Isles one of these units, and have that be the finale of damage here. So same style of attack as the last time. I want these fearsomes over to the left, and then we'll see if he makes a play towards them. I would think, well, I guess we're not presenting lethal just yet, which is kind of awkward. Sends the unit back to hand. Can't stop Master Yi. Probably got to pivot just down here to the right. We get killed by the Empyrean next turn. That's no good. I think he zinged us. think he zinged us.
A calm heart.
Maybe those attacks with the... I don't know. As I kind of think back on it now, as we're making those attacks with the Wraith Collars, just assuming that they're going to get some kind of value, he did get to gain quite a few points of health just blocking those Wraith Collars. I guess it forces him into action. Like to where we're trying to get a Wraith Collar and another unit off of the board. Maybe, I guess the only other point I can think back to is that Kalista attack. Maybe we should have just, like the idea of the attack makes sense, right? It's like you can't block the fearsomes with the Dragonlings, and if we don't kill him with the fearsomes, we're not going to kill him this turn anyways, so we might as well try and chunk down some of his units. But that did give him the opportunity to heal like 3 or 4 points of health off of those Dragonlings, and so maybe we shouldn't have let him do that. Alright though, we're here. Game 8, the final battle. I don't feel like we've gotten in a game 8 in like 15 videos. It's it feels kind of nice to roll that one in here. Now we're up against Viktor Zoe Aphelios. Let's see how the aggro style manages in this one. More Wraith Collars. Curious if this is gonna be like the Sump Monument version. I feel like we'll struggle against it if it gets up and running, but so far so good. I've been curious about this matchup. It feels like it should be strong, but they do have a lot of cards that are just quite good and annoying. Like the Charger is good and annoying. Things like Equinox, pain in the butt. So it's interesting. But the big thing to me is like we're doing a bunch of stuff that really keeps them from doing what they want to do. They don't want to be getting into combat this early and messing around with our units in that sense. They'd rather be building up victors and stuff.
Zoe says a constellation is just a perspective. Perspective is hard, though.
Alright, so I'm not going to put in the Wraith Collar this turn. I'm going to look to shrink. We got to get the 3/3 and the Sparkleologist out of the active combat space here. And then I think we might just fucking zing him with Dawning Shadow 2 turns from now. And so we'll have to see if that's how this one sequences out. I feel like that's what's about to happen here. I mean, he has a lot of shutdowns for what we're able to do. He has Equinox, he has Celestial Stun, he has just another big dude to put on board. Like there's a few annoying and problematic things he can do here, but I don't feel like adding the Wraith Collar and then just trading away our Mist Wraiths is how we win this game. It's gonna be on the Dawning Shadow.
Sargon's history is in each stone and star.
There we go. So I'm not going to attack with the Skitterer. We'll save it for the next combat, but everybody else can swing in here.
Stories of coils encircling the world.
Hold still.
Protector, shield me.
It's going to be a Pale Cascade. Like I'm curious if you ever want to Pale Cascade to protect the Mountain Scryer or Pale Cascade to get another blocker on board. Wonder what the angle would be here. Looks like Ryan B. Natty has selected additional blocker. Okay. So we get him down to 10. Reasonable board. Next turn we can Wraith Caller and Web Spinner. These serpents are fucking annoying. Harrowing. Do we just let all this go and play the Harrowing? Like I want to Dawning Shadows so bad. Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. Like, that's the third time in this video. I don't know what the percentage chance of having that nonsense happen is, but it is not this high. Like, what is your chance to draw a card here? It's 6% at this point, so 7%. We've hit a 7%er like 3 times in this video. Fucking bonkers. Fucking precious pet. Maybe we'll just cut these out. It has to just be a higher impact card than what this guy's doing. Like, I'd rather just have like the fearsome hallowed unit than what's happening here. Now it's just like our Dawning Shadow's not even any good. I think we still have to do it because it makes all of his blocks terrible. But I mean, oh, it's been insane. And opponents over here going, what the fuck? Busta's casting Dawning Shadows? Get centered, bro. Alright, send him in. Insane.
You cannot hold us down.
And it's like the real downside of this Allegiance stuff is it's like with Lark, right? It's like it's such a scaling point for the remainder of the game. I think our I think our units were at force, and so it's like if we play a Harrowing, it's gonna start summoning in more Wraith Callers and stuff. It's just such a disaster. Needed these things to be dead.
Nasty pursuit. Yes, this is what I see.
Oh, just our boy Precious Pet. Glad to see you, said no one ever. Let's see if this guy attacks. I want to clear this board out. So we'll take the Harrowing next turn. Like, I don't think it's very good, but now Nocturne turns up. Well, Nocturne is very good, and so the thing with Nocturne is going to be, does he get hit with like a does he get hit with a Sunburst or just any of his spells? And so I want to kind of like try and bait this a little bit. I want to see if opponent won't play some cards that don't matter before we drop Nocturne in.
Zoe,
And then we can see if we can't
you're made of stars and
get
make
him
stars.
up and running. So you can still Sunburst the Nocturne away, but I think he's ultimately a little bit safer here. And I don't think we have to worry about big invokes. Like, I never track them, I don't know, but it doesn't feel like Supernova is really on the table here. I guess Supernova is on the table now. He's taking a long time. You got to feel good about this, right? That's just the way the game goes. Whatever he wanted did not immediately turn up.
Its mark.
Leo, found Lux yet?
All right.
Gotta show me how to portal first, remember?
So he's got one blocker that will fall onto Nocturne. Then we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. So we need it to, we can... Right, so we do this, he blocks Nocturne with his 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's only got a Dust Petal. Alright, GG. did them finger maths. Everybody knows how good Bust is at math, and so yeah, unlocked it. GG. Not a bad set of battles. The one of the interesting things there, though, as much as we were unhappy with the performance of Precious Pet, we wouldn't have been able to make that play on the last turn of the game there if we didn't have as many units to just drop in as we did with the pet. Like, if we completely cut the Precious Pets out of our deck and now that becomes some 2-drop, then on that last turn we're playing like Nocturne into 2-drop. Like, we did just have a ton of units that we spewed off there at the end, and so it's a little close. But nonetheless, I mean, the general idea here is still quite good. I feel like we had a pretty good run of games today. We didn't get to play against things like the Formidables, but we did get to play against Cosmic Call a couple of times, and I like where this deck really kind of fit in. And so it's certainly something to think about as the upcoming events are here. This is something that you could definitely fit into a triple aggro lineup for the Open in the upcoming days. The thing I will give you warning about with this is what happened to us in the, like, whenever we brought it in, was this is the deck nobody ever bans, right? And so you have to feel really comfortable with this deck. You're going to have to play this deck literally every single match, because I feel like typically, I know we did one, like the initial beta season, I think we went to 9 wins with this thing. I don't entirely remember, but I think we probably played like 11 matches and probably had to play this in 10 of them. And so while it is a good deck, it has some, RNG nature to it as we're out here doing this allegiance-based stuff. And it can just kind of fall apart if things come together in the wrong order. But at the end of the day, I still think it's a very strong choice, and something that I'll be considering as the Open is coming up, if we want to play the Mage Seekers or if we want to play triple aggro. I haven't quite decided on that at the moment. But nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Busted Me. Thank you for being here.